We are on, Patrick, and it is time to breathe again on the latest Breath of Fresh Air webcast streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So, Patrick, as you take that sip of the sweet tea, and yes, people, it is sweet tea. We have this
It
talk
is just
before.
sweet tea. I'm
It
not
is just
advertising. Yeah. Now, if somebody wants me to advertise, let me know.
so yep, so you got Patrick with me, Charles, and we have a lot to get to, Patrick, which I know that is the case every week, but it's especially true this week. So we are going to start by playing a game. So I had teased during the post today that we are going to play a game involving a lot of teams through different sports, mostly college football, the NFL, and MLB. So we will start with college football, and the game is called Contender or Pretender. So we're going to talk about a couple of teams in college, and as we get closer to the start of the season, we are definitely going to cover a lot more college football, accumulating with our college football preview show the week before Labor Day, or the Tuesday before Labor Day weekend, which is when the season really gets going. There will be a few games, I think, on the weekend before, but definitely Labor Day weekend is when it really starts to get going. So we're gonna go down to your conference, Patrick, future home for my team, the Longhorns, of course, and we are going to talk about the Arkansas Razorbacks for this one. Now,
Ooh,
yes.
round
So,
one. Okay.
yes, we're going
Okay.
to talk about the Arkansas Razorbacks because last year they made some strides. They had a relatively new coach. I forget what year Sam Pittman was in last year. It might have been his first or second year. I'm not for sure on that. Please fact check on that. So it was the second year. Okay. So second year he was there. So this is his third year coming up this year.
Yes.
Then? Okay. Well, in the second year, he made the team made a lot of strides, and we remember what they did to my Texas Longhorns last year as we went up there to Fayetteville and got smoked. And Arkansas was in a lot of other games, accumulating with a bowl win. I think it was the Outback Bowl where they beat Penn State. So they had a pretty good season, and they're returning a lot of those players. They are losing their receiver, Traylon Burks, who went on to the pros, got drafted by the Tennessee Titans. But KJ Jefferson is back at quarterback, and Arkansas looks really strong. So, of course, Patrick, we know they are playing in the SEC West with Bama and Ole Miss and Texas A&M and the Mississippis and LSU. So,
Texas A&M.
yeah, so tough road. But do you think Arkansas can make a push toward contender, or are they pretending?
Well, like you said, they are playing in the West of the SEC, and again, Alabama, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Mississippi, Mississippi State, LSU, Auburn. I mean,
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot to mention Auburn. My bad. Yep.
So, look, they're a good team. They're a really good team. Any other conference, they probably win. This conference, it is hard to win. You have to be on top of your game every single week. And so I do have their schedule pulled up. I mean, they got Cincinnati, South Carolina. Who the hell is that?
A tune-up game, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a tune-up. I don't even know who it is. Texas A&M and Alabama, and that's 3 SEC games out of 5. Right.
Patrick, what's the name of the school that you don't know who it is?
Here, let's pull it up. I have to click. I have to do an extra click. Oh, it's the Missouri State Bears.
Okay.
Their logo just looks like a big circle on the little schedule. It just looks like a little maroon circle. So I was like, who the heck is MOS State? MOS. Anyway, Missouri State Bears. Okay.
Mhm.
So yes, it's a tune-up game, and truthfully, out of the first 5 games, I suspect this team to be 3-2. Texas A&M and Alabama, and that's like honestly that's worst case scenario. I mean, they could be better 4-1. After those 5 games. But with all that being said, unfortunately, in the SEC, I don't want to say they're pretenders. I really don't, because I think they are contenders. But in the SEC, it's a lot harder. But I'm going to go with, I take that back. I'm going to go with contender. I think they can contend in every game, and I think they're going to push most of those teams to breaking points. Don't know if they're going to make a playoff run, but they are good enough for me to say they are a contender. Yes.
All right, and before I give my view on Arkansas, I guess I'll preface it by saying we know the usual suspects in the SEC. I mean, Bama's usual suspect. Georgia has definitely become a usual suspect, winning a national championship last year. The other teams like LSU, Florida, Auburn, they're kind of your traditional powers in the conference. But Arkansas been kind of a little bit off and on. Yeah, I mean, they had a year or two where they looked like they could do something, and then they've had some really tough years before Sam Pittman got there. So, knowing all that, I'm with you, Patrick. I want to say contender. I do, because this Arkansas team is going to play tough. They're going to play physical. They're going to play hard, and Sam Pittman has them believing.
Yeah.
I guess because of where they are playing, though, I'll say pretender, but I don't want to tell them that. I don't want to say that. I don't.
It's hard. It's hard. And the reason why I went with contender, now I look at this entire schedule. I see them losing 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 games.
Mhm.
But all 5 of those games are going to be close. And that's possible, losing 5 games. All of those games are going to be close. And the only reason why I'm going with contender is because I feel they will even contend in those 5 games. They may lose them, but they'll contend in them. So even with them being in the West of the SEC, playing all those games, I still going to put them as contenders because they will contend in all of those games.
They're going to be a tough out.
Yes.
I mean, they
play them for 4 quarters. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they're not going. It's not going to be one of those things where Arkansas is going to get blown out. I mean, Arkansas will probably bring a lot of these games into the 4th quarter. I mean, if I look at their schedule, what was it? 2 games they probably got thoroughly beaten. When they went to Georgia thoroughly beat them. And they caught a pretty significant loss to Auburn when Bo Nix, who is now the quarterback in Oregon, went off in that game. Other than that, they were in all the games.
Everyone.
So I see that being similar to this year too. I mean, they'll play A&M. Traditionally, that game is here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area over at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. So it's kind of a neutral site game. They have Alabama coming to Fayetteville this year, and they also have Ole Miss coming to Fayetteville as well. Yep. And I think LSU comes up there as well, but they go to Mississippi State and Auburn. Yeah.
Right. And then, BYU is an out-of-conference game, but at BYU,
be tough. It'll be tough.
It could be tough. I think that is a definite win for Arkansas, but it is going to be a tough win.
It's tough to win up there in Provo. It's just one of those environments. It's just kind of difficult to contend with, and those fans, they get rowdy there up there in Utah. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Patrick. And I think even though you're saying contender and I'm saying pretender, I think our reasoning is pretty much the same. Yeah. That's what's kind of funny about it, because we both think they're going to be tough to beat. But we just don't know if they're going to be enough to actually make a push to get into the SEC championship game, and that's where it could be a little bit of a difficulty for them.
Absolutely.
So
you can't go wrong with either decision. You really can't.
right.
They are going to be a hard out, but at the same time, they still have an opportunity to lose 5 games. So,
all right, Patrick. Well, let's move on to one more team in college, and like I said, we're gonna continue to get more into college, accumulating with that big time college football preview show. And if you guys have watched this show in the past, you know Patrick and I, we get nice and geared up in our jerseys for that show, so we're very excited for it. But let's go to the Big Ten Conference for our final team in college. How about this, Patrick? You mentioned them when we had a conversation not too long ago. The Nebraska Cornhuskers. And we know the usual suspect in the Big Ten is Ohio State. They have been the team to be in that conference, although that wasn't the case last year. That turned into Michigan, and they are the defending champs coming into this season. So, of course, we'll see if Michigan can continue that, if they can get on a roll. A lot of people do not expect that to happen. Ohio State is the prohibitive favorite, and they are number 2 in the first, the coaches poll that came out on Monday. Yeah, so they're number 2. Alabama's number 1. Georgia's 3. And Clemson and Notre Dame round out the top 5. We can get into those rankings another time. I know that's but Patrick, Nebraska. So they got the quarterback who actually played in Texas last year transfer over there, Casey Thompson. And we know last year they were in all those games. All of them. I mean, there wasn't a game really they got blown out. I mean, they could have easily, their record looks bad, but they could have beat Michigan. They could have beat Ohio State. They could have beat Oklahoma.
They should have beat Oklahoma because they led that game for most of
yeah. I mean, like, they led in all those games. And they just could not make a play or two down the stretch. So is this the year where Scott Frost, where we know when he was in Central Florida, led them to an undefeated season before he took the job in Nebraska? It's been a struggle there in Lincoln. But could he now have a team that could compete? Last year, they were knocking on the door in a lot of those games. Do you think they can break through and be a contender, or are they pretending?
I'm going to say contender, without a doubt. I would say it because, look, first of all, the conference that they play in and on the side that they're playing on gives them a heavy opportunity to win their side of the conference, right? And when you look at the other side, you have Ohio State, Penn State,
Michigan State.
Michigan State, you have those, right? So it's going to be a little bit harder on the other side of the coin than it is for Nebraska on their side. With that being said, Michigan, you know what? Let me just pull their schedule up because I want to see who they got when they got.
This is Nebraska's schedule you're talking about?
Yeah. So
I know Oklahoma comes up there.
Yeah, Oklahoma comes up there game 4, but then you got Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Iowa all like back to back at the end of the season. All right, all of those teams better watch out. I really think that what they were missing last year was a quarterback that could sustain that extra play, that gives them that opportunity to make a big play down the field, whether it be in the second quarter or at the end of the first half or in the fourth quarter or at the end of the second half. Somebody that can extend a play, because this quarterback can. Somebody that has accuracy downfield, somebody that can make that on the field IQ play that puts them over the edge. This is the guy. I'm not going to say that they're going to go out and win the national championship. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the Big Ten better make sure they mark their schedules for that Nebraska team contender 100%.
You know, I think I'm gonna say contender 2. It was literally a play here, play there. In 5 of those games, they lost. They were, and just going down the line. They lost in overtime to Michigan State, so that was a game or a
Yeah.
play or two away. Uh, Against Ohio State, Michigan State, Oklahoma. All 4 of those games, they could have won if they could have just taken advantage of it. If they could have hit like a field goal, they could have won that game. They were that close in all those games. And
I think that Michigan game was a little bit. I mean, I think they lost by 8 points in that game.
No, they lost by 3.
That was a 3-pointer?
Yeah, they lost by 3. Now Oklahoma beat them by 7.
Maybe
then. But still, I mean, they were leading that.
They led that game. They led that game 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Just some defensive moves that really I was like, but yeah.
So they got to make the play, man. I mean, they just if they can just make a play here, play there, that record could have easily been 8-4, 9-3. And
absolutely.
And I mean, who was it? It was Iowa. Yeah. So Iowa was your Big Ten West representative last year, and they got smoked. Absolutely smoked by Michigan in the Big Ten title game. But I mean, Iowa, they're going to play tough, but you're not fearing Iowa. Same with Wisconsin. They're going to play tough, but you're not fearing them. Minnesota, same thing. You're not fearing them. And to your point, I totally agree with you that the West Division in the Big Ten, easier road than what you have in the Eastern Division. No disrespect to those teams, but I mean, you just don't have to deal with Ohio State and Michigan. Well, although they are going to play Michigan, but I mean, you don't have to have those teams like Penn State and Ohio State and Michigan State and all of them back to back like that.
And I can tell you, everybody, including Ohio State, has a target on Michigan. So Michigan is not going to do what they did last year. By no means. Personal opinion.
It's going to be tough. I mean, they have to adjust. So they have their formula, and you can be physical, run the football, play good defense, and that worked. But as you're going into another year where, like you just said, now they're the hunted. They're not the hunter, really. They are being hunted out. And so they're going to have to find a way to get a consistent passing game to complement that running game. If they're going to have a chance to repeat as Big Ten champs. But yeah, Nebraska, I'm with you. I think they can definitely contend. If they could just find a way to make those plays. Is Casey Thompson that answer? I guess that remains to be seen, but I definitely feel better about Casey Thompson being there. Of course, seeing him down in Texas, I feel better about him making those plays than what they had last year with Blake Martinez. And
I do want to say something about, because you made a comment about Michigan and their physicality, and they were a very physical team. But to add to that note, Jim Harbaugh is going to have to learn to adapt. Not only just keep running these same plays over and over and over. If the run game is not going to work, what is your next answer? Because when you go into that game against Georgia, you know your run game's not going to work like that. And it didn't. And here we are looking at it, moving forward down the line. And then we're like, was Michigan actually as good as, they said they were? Because they didn't show that against Georgia. So Jim Harbaugh, and I don't think that Michigan State was that bad of a team. I just think Jim Harbaugh is going to have to find more ways to win than just shove it down your throat. That's what my point is.
Well, right. Yeah, that's what I was saying with the complement of the passing game, because teams are going to go and they're going to try to take the running game away. They're going to try to take away their strength. So they're going to have to find a way to get some downfield throws, open up the defense, back them up a little bit, and still they can run the ball. Everybody has an identity they want to be with and be about, but those other teams that are playing, that too, and that's where you have to be able to come up with that compliment. The comment you made about Georgia in that game, the college football playoff game, dude, Georgia was just better. I mean, I don't think Michigan was a bad team. I just think Georgia was better.
All season you saw that was Alabama and Georgia, and then the rest of FBS. I mean, it really was. And don't get me wrong, I love saying it, but at the same time, you're really looking at these playoffs to be very competitive, and unfortunately for Alabama and Georgia, they really weren't that competitive. It was, again, here we are looking at a Georgia-Alabama national championship, and everybody's like, well, the SEC sucks, and here we are with two teams in the SEC fighting it off again for a national championship. So I feel the other teams need to step up a little more.
The playoffs have been blowouts for a while, Patrick. And like we have pointed out a couple of weeks ago, when it comes to national championships in the last couple of decades, the SEC has 13 of them. Yep. 13. So the power of college football is in the South.
Yep.
No dispute. No, nothing. The Big Ten people, they could try to say, "Oh, football sucks." Look, man, if they continue to win national championships, I'm sorry, that argument is dumb. If that's what you're going to say, that is a dumb argument to make when the SEC is winning national championship after national championship. I brought up the numbers. Alabama has 6, LSU has 3, Florida has 2, Auburn has 1, Georgia has 1. I mean, it's apparent where the power is. What do you got in the Big Ten? Just 2 Ohio State titles in the last couple of decades? Woo. So
what they stand, Ohio stays in the news.
Yeah.
Some way, shape, or form, Deshaun. Stay in the news. Ohio, stay in the news. You ain't win nothing. Still in the news. Good for you.
So, Patrick, before we get on to these NFL teams, I wanted to touch bases because there was a TV contract that looks like it is on the verge of becoming final with the aforementioned Big Ten Conference. And apparently this deal is with 3 networks, with Fox, NBC, and CBS. So, this is going to be $1 billion contract once everything gets finalized. As we know, CBS is losing the rights for the SEC games after the 2023 season. And so they want to stay in the college football market. And I guess they're going to get on there with Big Ten. Now, from all indications, Fox is going to be the primary station for Big Ten games. Now, with NBC being in this deal, the question now becomes, what does that mean for Notre Dame? Because if the Big Ten is going to do this with NBC, then you already know that means NBC can have more of the broadcasting rights to those Notre Dame games, meaning they can broadcast them on the road. As the current contract stands, it is just home games NBC broadcast, and we know from reporting that I guess Notre Dame wants $75 million per year, which is insane, beyond insane. But if NBC is going to jump into this Big Ten contract, does that seem like that would be a pretty smooth transition for Notre Dame to just go ahead and just join the Big Ten?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, because we know they want to keep their independence, their independent label, but everybody's leaving them behind. Nobody's worried about
it. But here's the deal. NBC is finding ways, I mean, and this is what it sounds like to me. NBC's in a part of this deal to get Big Ten college games, right? That means that when it comes time to play a game, are they going to broadcast a more visible game from the Big Ten? are they gonna broadcast Notre Dame? I can tell you right now, based on where Notre Dame is at, if NBC gets that opportunity and they got like Michigan versus Ohio State, I can tell you right now, Notre Dame's not going to get played on NBC. They're just not, because they're going to be playing Army. Who gives a crap? You know what I mean? So this is where I say, Notre Dame, just grab all your stuff, lock the door on your way out, find your place in the ACC, and start settling into your new home.
So you think they should just stay in the ACC? Well, I mean, because they are in the ACC in every other sport besides football. So you think they might as well just complete it and just stay in the ACC?
Do it. Just Band-Aid off, because you look, the independent is done. The independent is done. All these teams that were in the independent are now starting to find homes in the conferences that give them an opportunity to win a national championship. I'm sorry, independents don't get the opportunity to win national championships. Now, I mean, I know Notre Dame has defied some odds, and I think Cincinnati at the time did something at that. But look, not anymore. These teams are starting to find out. They're like, look, Texas and Oklahoma moving to the SEC has developed a super conference. I can tell you right now, this is where they're going. Super conferences is where they're at. And they better start finding a place, because if they don't find a place, they're going to be out. Plus, Rudy was offsides.
And on that note, we'll move on. It's so funny.
About Notre Dame, I'm always going to end it with Rudy was offsides.
More to come on.
When people say
more to come on that deal, because these just the amount of money that's flowing with these TV deals, it's really going to start coming to a head, because a lot of the conference deals are running out in the next couple of years. So it's going to be stupid money going all over the place. So more to come on this Big Ten deal with NBC, Fox, and CBS. So Patrick, let's get on these teams in the NFL as we continue our game of contender or pretender. We're going to start in the NFC and you know how we are, because the defending champ, is in that conference in the form of the LA Rams. Spoiler alert, the Rams are not one of the teams we are going to discuss here. We all pretty much know they're going to be a contender. So
that's an easy one.
Yeah, right. But these two, Patrick,
New Orleans
might not be as easy. So let's start with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, a lot of hype with the Eagles, especially with what they did in the draft. They drafted the whole Georgia defense. All right, not the whole Georgia defense, but they did draft two of their best players in Jordan Davis, the big physical defensive tackle, and Nakobe Dean, the linebacker, who dropped in the draft because of injury concerns. But there's no doubt that when healthy, that dude, no question, should have went in the first round. Like, no question. Like, top 10 picks in the first round.
If he's injured, I would have took him in the first round.
Right, yeah, he was that good. But
maybe they didn't watch the same Georgia team I watched, but I can tell you right now, there wasn't many plays that Nakobe Dean was not being mentioned in.
Sideline to sideline, all over the place was Dean.
And ran it.
Yeah.
Ran it.
So,
come on. And it was the captain of our defense. And our defense was what ranked number 1, and that was the best we've seen in 5 years. Come on.
So with that, I mean, and then on top of that, on top of adding Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, you added a Hassan Reddick, who was the pass rusher for the Carolina Panthers. You picked him up in free agency, and you got James Bradbury, cornerback, pretty good for the New York Giants. You pick him up, and you also traded for AJ Brown, the receiver who was playing with the Tennessee Titans. Now he's paired up with Devontae Smith, and you have Jalen Hurts in there playing quarterback, and you have a pretty good running game. So a lot of hype with the Eagles. Are they worth this hype, Patrick? Do you think they will be a contender or a pretender?
Okay, so in the past, they are huge pretenders, right? With the division that they're playing in. Makes it very interesting. All these names that you just mentioned, every one of those names on defense moved the needle for Philly. Every one of those names moved the offense needle for Philly. On top of that, they're playing in a division with Washington, Dallas, and what was the other one?
Giants.
I don't see anything from the Giants. Washington is, we'll see, And Dallas, well, depending on the game, that is a win or a loss. And they're either going to the Super Bowl or they need to trade their whole team. With just that being said, I'm going to put them as contenders because I really do feel that every one of these moves that Philly made moved the needle in a very positive way. I mean, just with Jalen Hurts being the one that is running. Did you start the music?
Yeah, it's another song.
I was like, am I hearing things, or is it just? Oh, okay. So with Jalen Hurts running the offense, and in the wide receivers that they have, and the running backs that they have, and a very decent offensive line, to be honest with you. Then you look on the defensive line. You got the linebackers that you got with Dean, and then Jordan. All those people that they picked up from the draft. I feel that they're very huge contenders. I'm not quite sure if I have them winning their division yet, because I still want to see what Dallas does. And honestly, that's about the only other one that I really want to look at. But I have them as contenders. I have them as contenders because every one of those moves moved the needle in a very positive way for Philly. And there was really nowhere else to go but up for Philly anyway.
So I'll say that, look, Philly did make the playoffs last year. Now, it was a little bit, they kind of backed in there, but no one expected the Eagles to even get in, be close to the playoffs, and they made it. So now they see an opportunity. The NFC, on paper anyway, looks like it could be got. Now, I mean, you have a few good teams in there, but you can definitely make the playoffs again in the NFC. It doesn't look as strong as what we look to have in the AFC. And I am with you. I do think they will be contenders as well. I think the moves they made, they're addressing needs and weaknesses. And, they needed to be more explosive on offense. So you pick up a receiver like A.J. Brown that adds some more explosiveness there, gives Jalen Hurts some more targets to throw to. And on defense, which that was a weak point, their defense they gave up a lot of big plays last year. Now you can get a middle pass rush with Jordan Davis, and you have another cover corner with Bradbury to help out the other corner they have, Darius Slay. And the linebacker with Nakobe Dean. I mean, the Eagles look pretty strong. Now, I'm with you. I'll have to look more, especially when we do our NFL preview show, which will be the weekend after we do the college football preview show, where we pick out all the division winners, see what these other teams are working with as well. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the Eagles can be pretty dangerous there.
I agree. And, obviously they're going to have to make sure that they stay healthy. Obviously, you always have to take that into consideration. But, even with the tight ends that they have, and I just pulled them up, Dallas Goddard.
Yep.
He was very reliable last year.
Yeah, he's got to stay. Just has to stay healthy. He's been kind of dinged up every now and again, but when he's in there, very good tight end.
So now you got AJ Brown, and now you got Devontae Smith, who's gonna separate that for him. He's not going to be double teamed like he was last year. So I think that alleviates a lot of pressure off of him. Now Hurts has somebody else to throw to. They can be very dangerous. And I'm going to tell you, watching Jalen Hurts in Alabama do what he did, the kid's good. And I think he gives them a great opportunity to repeat and go into the playoffs. So I think they're in a great spot.
All right, Patrick. So we got to be a little bit quick with these next few because we still have a lot to cover. So
3 teams. Oh, come on.
Yeah. So we have a few more teams, and we're gonna go to your division for this next one, man. You hate this team. It is the New Orleans Saints.
Knew you were going to say the Saints. I knew it.
Absolutely, man. You had to do it. But here's the Saints. There's a lot of question marks with them. And if these question marks do get answered in a positive way, they have the talent to compete. So that is, it's just a matter of, can they all come together? What are you going to get out of Jameis Winston at quarterback? Is Alvin Kamara going to be suspended? Because we don't know. He may or may not miss the first 6 or 7 games, depending on how the case goes when he got in a fight in Las Vegas during Pro Bowl weekend. The receivers, we don't know what we're going to get out of Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas hasn't played in 2 years, but you picked up Jarvis Landry and you drafted Chris Olave from Ohio State. The defense still pretty strong. And they gave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hell last year. Won both games, shut them out in the second game they played. So are the Saints, are they contenders or pretenders to you?
Well, as it stands right now, and this is not me being like, I hate this team. I do have to look at this as a very non-biased view. And with all those question marks, man, you mentioned those. There's several more out there. I mean, there's several more out there. There's a couple. I think we even have a few suspensions already that are dished out right now. So all of these question marks that we have on offense, all the question marks we have on defense, are these. I don't think they've really addressed any needs in the draft. I don't think they've made any moves in trades. I got them as pretenders, man. I do, and that's just because I don't think they're gonna display what they displayed last year against Tampa. I think Tampa is going to be a far better team. I'm not really expecting too much out of Atlanta because I just don't think that they have the right. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't think they have the right captains in place. It's not the coaching that worries me. It's the captains on the field that worry me. And then you have what's the other team? Tampa, Atlanta.
Yeah, Tampa, Atlanta, and Carolina.
And Carolina is much better. They're going to be a much better team going into the season. They addressed several needs that they needed in their defense. So just being in the division alone, I have them as a pretender, but I don't think they're going to do what. And then on top of that, they don't even have Sean Payton. So you just took away their entire mindset by losing the head coach. So pretenders. I don't like where New Orleans is standing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they're pretenders too. Now they have the talent to be contenders if everything comes together, but there's just too many question marks
to do it.
There's just too many question marks. I mean, you have, like you said, their coach is changed. So we don't know what we're going to get out of Pete Carmichael. They have question marks at quarterback. Jameis Winston, he's coming off of an injury as well. Kamara, We don't know if he's going to play all 16, 17 games. And yeah, it's question marks all over the board. Now, if they can get most of those question marks to be yes, the Saints are very dangerous. The talent is there to where they can make an impact. But yeah, I'm with the Pretenders here because it could go way, way right or way, way left. And it could go really bad to where they're coming up on 8, 9, 7, and 10 record if things
Or
are
even worse. Or
yeah.
even worse. I mean, look, if Atlanta happens to pull something and do something, I really think Atlanta could get them. But it's going to take a lot of those question marks going no, and things just not working out for them. And as it stands right now, we are looking far veering to the left right now.
All right, Patrick, let's move on to the AFC, and we're going to discuss the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers have a very good defense with TJ Watt leading the charge. And on offense, they have weapons. They have Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson catching the ball for them. Fryer move at tight end, very good. Najee Harris is running the ball. But they have a huge question mark on the offensive line. On the offensive line and at the quarterback position as well. Now, the division they're in there with Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Cleveland, so it won't be the easiest position or this division to navigate, but they have Mike Tomlin as their head coach. So you know they're going to be tough.
That thing they have right now.
Yeah. So they're going to be tough to deal with just simply from there. Pittsburgh rarely gets blown out, and they're pretty much in every game, and you know you're going to get a battle from them. If they can get any type of competent quarterback play, this makes them very dangerous. With all that said, Patrick, contender or pretender for you?
I'm going to go pretender. That division is just way too freaking strong. And when you got Cincinnati, who is they cannot do anything but better. I mean, how do you get a quarterback that has literally his rookie season takes him to the Super Bowl? You know what I'm saying? To me, it's just a hard conference to be in. Now, I will say this. Tomlin gives them that opportunity to win. Defense, they're going to be in every game. I do agree with that. But just based on the division that they're in, I mean, come on, Baltimore and Cincinnati, it's tough. That's tough for them. And AFC is probably going to be stronger than the NFC altogether anyway. So I'm going pretender.
I was going back and forth with this one. You know what? I'm gonna lean more toward contender with Pittsburgh, and I think they have Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, the draft pick that they took in the first round, competing for the spot. This team made the playoffs with Ben Roethlisberger throwing the ball 10 yards down the field. He could not throw the ball.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, that dude
run anymore.
That dude looked like a total shell of himself. So, if they can get, like I said, if they can get any type of competent quarterback play, whether that is Trubisky or Pickett, I don't really count Mason Rudolph. I know they said that he's competing, but Mason Rudolph, if they start him, then they will their season will go down the toilet. But with Trubisky,
number 2.
Well, if it's Trubisky or Pickett, I think that's their best chance to do anything. Main thing that has to happen for the Steelers above all else is that offensive line has to play better. So you would think with the year gelling and playing together, they will be better. And I just trust in Mike Tomlin. There's just some coaches that you just know you got a tried and true product, and that team is going to be ready to compete. So I know a lot of people are low on the Steelers because of the quarterback position, but again, football is the ultimate team sport. Regardless of what these networks tell you, it is not just about the quarterback. You need a team if you are going to win. The Steelers have a good team. And
who better to give that ball then to than Najee Harris?
Right.
That dude is a monster. And they're gonna have to game tackle this kid. They're gonna have to game tackle this young man of a beast, has thighs this freaking big around. You're not taking this kid down with one person. I don't care who you are. I don't care if it was Ray Lewis, by the way, quote of the day. I don't care if it is Ray Lewis. You're not taking him down by yourself. This is a grown man at running back. Who better? And I agree with you. There's a lot of things that, and you have to understand, you're giving me these teams fans. I don't know. I didn't know which teams he's coming with me yet. So I'm having to go with what I know, which makes it a little harder, but what makes it fun. So there's a lot of things.
And it's what you do anyway, Patrick.
It's what I do.
So
with Najee Harris, I mean, if Trubisky's having a tough day, give it to Najee. Let him run it. Go.
All right, Patrick. Well, here's the final team we have in the NFL. The Denver Broncos. Let's talk about the Denver Broncos because, of course, they traded for Russell Wilson at quarterback. So a lot of people, there's people who have Denver as a Super Bowl favorite to come out of the AFC. Now, they do have a good defense. The defense was good for them last year. And the quarterback position, obviously getting Russell Wilson, that is a major upgrade from what they had last year with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. They have weapons on offense, although they did lose one of those weapons for the year. Tim Patrick is gone with a torn ACL, but you still have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and KJ Hamler coming back. So they still have a lot of weaponry there. Running backs good with Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. And so Denver looks good. Question marks, though, on the foundations of the team, your offensive line and the defensive line. So with all that, again, there's people who have Denver as a Super Bowl favorite, but also on top of that, they have a new head coach themselves coming in. So is Denver a pretender or a contender for you?
So AFC is going to be hard, and I've already went through all of this stuff, so I can actually make this one pretty quick. Even though their question marks are on the offensive and defensive line, I think that they can solidify those up. I don't think that they're so far off that are we going to look at them like we look at the New Orleans Saints with all their question marks? No, because I feel that Denver is going to are going to address those as necessary. So I have them as a contender. Don't know about a Super Bowl favorite yet. To say that they will contend in the AFC.
Patrick, I'm going pretender here.
Woo!
And yeah, because this is just me. People are going to come at me because a lot of people like Russell Wilson. I just don't think he's that dude. I don't think he is the guy who is going to elevate the team. He can get you to a certain point. And that certain point to me, probably divisional playoff. At that point, like that is a crucial point for me. This is just, and I know I probably told you this before, but this is kind of how I look at it, just to really sum it up. When you get to the divisional playoff round, your quarterback now has to be able to elevate the team, especially if that team has some weaknesses. Mm-hmm. It's one thing if the team is well-rounded, but if your team is weak somewhere, whether it is the receiving core, whether it's a little bit on defense, that quarterback has to be able to make up for those weaknesses, or it's not going to work, because the better teams, that's when they show up. When you get higher and higher in that playoff run, that's where your quarterback, especially if he's supposed to be an elite dude, that's where he has to elevate you, or at least make the plays to elevate. Look at what Matthew Stafford did last year. The Buccaneers were coming back, and Stafford made the big throws to get them by that game and ultimately to a Super Bowl title. That's what Russell Wilson is going to have to do. And I haven't seen it from him where he's able to do that consistently. When they won their Super Bowl, when he was with the Seattle Seahawks, that was good defense, good running game. That was the strength of their team. When they got back to the Super Bowl the year after, same thing. When they started to turn over the offense to him, they haven't been past the divisional playoff round. Last year, they didn't even make the playoffs. Now, granted, Seattle was not as good as they have been. Now he comes to Denver. There is no excuses for Russell Wilson. So for me, I'm putting it all on Russell Wilson because they traded all those assets to get him. And I just don't think he's that guy, Patrick. So I'm going pretender here. They might finish third in the division. Like that division is going to be tough. With the Chiefs, Raiders, and Chargers, that division is going to be rough, dude. So contender.
I didn't really think about their division. I was thinking more about the whole AFC as a whole. But yeah, when I went back and looked at it, I was like, yeah, I still feel that they can be a contender. I don't think that they're going to. I don't think they're the type of team that's going to get blown out. I think they're going to be in every game, and I think they're going to win some games that they probably shouldn't. And honestly, that's what I'm kind of banking on, in a lot of ways. But I also feel that I'm going on what you normally say. Denver didn't go and get Russell Wilson for what he's done in the past. They're going and got him for what they feel he could do for this team.
Yeah, in the future.
So, I really think Russell Wilson can do something with this team that he hasn't been able to do with the Seattle Seahawks almost his entire career. So I feel that Russell Wilson has moved that needle, and honestly, I think that you probably agree with me that he's moved the needle in Denver. I don't know how much that needle is going to be moved yet, but I feel that Denver can make a splash in the AFC.
All right, Patrick, a couple more topics before we get on out. Let's go to Major League Baseball real quick. And we have talked about what has been going on in the league. Of course, we have the trade deadline that happened last week. Now, the 5 teams that we keep on hearing about that can legitimately win a World Series title are the Braves, the Dodgers, and the Mets. In the National League, the Mets are playing very, very good ball right now. Yes, the San Diego Padres made the move to get Juan Soto, but they really hadn't been mentioned up there yet. And I know people want to put them up there, but they just got swept by the Dodgers this past weekend. So I don't know about the Padres. But the 5 teams have been the Braves, Dodgers, Mets, and over in the American League, it's been the Yankees and the Astros. So my question on the contender phase, what team can upset that whole thing? And it doesn't have to be situated to one league. What team to you can come up out of the, excluding those 5 teams, what team can come up and upset one of those 5 teams and come out and win a World Series potentially?
St. Louis Cardinals. The St. freaking Louis Cardinals. That's who. They're
tried and true product, huh?
Tried and true product. And the reason why I say the St. Louis Cardinals, because I have sit here and watched them play baseball over the past week. They are, I think, what are they? 7-game win streak right now?
Yeah, swept the Yankees this week.
Swept the Yankees on top of that. And I'm going to tell you, Aaron Judge didn't do crap in that series.
Yeah, shut down.
So their pitching is starting to gel. Their lineup is phenomenal. They're utilizing their pitching in ways that is very old school, actually. Letting their starter play out a little bit, pulling in a middle relief, and then throwing out a closer, depending on how the starter does. St. Louis is running into this is the thing about St. Louis. They're running into what's the word I'm looking for? Consistency. St. Louis is scary when you get consistency from this team. Consistent hitting, consistent pitching, consistent defense. They're scary. St. Louis Cardinals.
I'm all about the Cardinals. I'm always the one who will sit there and say, dude, St. Louis. I'm not counting out St. Louis. So I love that pick. I'm gonna go to the American League, man, and I'm.
Say them.
Who do you think I'm gonna say?
Say them.
I was gonna say the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going a different route. Never mind.
No,
I think that you were going to say Minnesota Twins.
The Twins are looking good too, man, but they're slumping a little bit, and the Chicago White Sox are starting to come up on them. I don't know if Minnesota's going to hold on. And the Guardians are right there too. So I don't know. I don't know if Minnesota's going to hold on, man. And I picked the White Sox to win that division, and they're coming. The White Sox are coming now. They're getting all their people back. They're starting to get healthy, and the pitching's becoming a little bit more consistent. And it's going to be tough for Minnesota to hold on, man. So yeah, I'm going Toronto.
Toronto team is looking good too.
The pitching is coming together, and that lineup is finally starting to be consistent with Vlad Jr., Springer. Who's the other son that's on? Yeah, Bo Bichette. Like they just have a team that have sons of players who played in the league now, but they're coming together.
And they cut that 17 game to 10.5.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at them. And that pitching with Gosman leading the rotation, of course, who they got from the Giants last year. I'm looking at them with that lineup and that pitching coming together. They can upset that Yankees Astros talk, because a lot of people just act like it's a foregone conclusion that the Astros and Yankees will be meeting in the American League Championship Series, and I don't see that. There's a lot of good teams underneath that can upset, and the Yankees especially. You know how I feel about them. I've been saying they're frauds, so I don't.
I think they have just enough lead right now that they can probably they'll win the division, but Toronto will cut it close for them. I will tell you that.
There's just still a lot of weaknesses with the Yankees, and Patrick, you just mentioned it. The St. Louis Cardinals. They exposed that. And I mean, the lineup that they had a shutout again, because this is what the Yankees.
Yeah. Dude, if they didn't pitch it low and away, I wouldn't be saying it. Low and away. They're not going to hit it. They're all pull hitters. Low and away. Come on. Everybody knows.
And the better pitching staffs, which is, of course, what you see in the playoffs, are going to exploit that. And that's what you can't. The Yankees lineup is way too inconsistent, and their pitching is starting to show cracks too. They were hot at the beginning of the year. Now they're starting to get hit. Garrett Cole, he's starting to get hit. Nestor Cortez not looking as strong as he did. Luis Severino hurt again. So, I mean, and the bullpen's been cracking too. So it's not looking good for the Yankees. Like you said, they have a big enough lead to where they're going to get into the playoffs most likely, but I see them getting taken out there. Real quick, Pat.
St. Louis better pick it up, because they're going into the bottom of the first or top of the second. They're already down 3-0. Colorado, they're a scrappy team. They'll probably still pull it together.
Well, all right, Patrick, before we get out, man, hey, we got to make fun of Kevin Durant. We got to poke fun at him, because this dude apparently came to the owner talking about either trade him or fire the coach Steve Nash and the GM Sean Marks. Look, man, I'm just going to say this, and then I'll be pretty much done. At some point, Patrick, and you said it before, contracts don't mean anything these days. At some point, the contract needs to mean something. At some point. And if not, then don't do contracts. Do away with contracts. Let's just have year by year agreements, and then we'll just reassess after the year if you're not going to do these contracts. Because if a player can just go in to the office and say, oh man, I'm just going to sign a 4-year extension and now you need to trade me. That can't happen. I'm sorry. Like, and so you committed to them. You need to stay there. Stop crying. Stop being a little brat. When things get hard, you want to leave. Just stay there. If I'm Brooklyn, do not be bullied. Do not be bullied into trading this dude. Make him sit there.
Trade him. But this is what you do. You want to be traded? Forfeit your guaranteed money, and I'll trade you. You want to be traded now?
So in the NBA, that's the whole contract. because only the NFL has the piece of the pot that's guaranteed money. The rest of these contracts in these other leagues is fully guaranteed, man. You're getting that. So, yeah, all right, I'm with you.
Forfeit your guaranteed money. How bad do you want to be traded now? Put it in an amendment saying that I am willing to give up my guaranteed money to be traded. I'll trade you today. Otherwise, get your butt on the bench and get ready to play some basketball.
My gosh, the crybaby.
The power that the players think they have. Well, let me restate that. The power that the players actually have is ridiculous. If we're going to do contracts, and like you said, I've said it many. What's the point in a contract if you're not going to abide by the contract? Fact of the matter is this: if I sign into a contract and I don't fulfill my contract,
gotta be quick, Patrick, so we can get on out.
Okay. If I'm going to do a contract, if I'm cutting out of my contract early, I got to give back money. It's the way it is on any other job front out there in the world. Kevin Durant, you want out? Give back some money.
All right. Well, that will top it off. And we're always making fun of Kevin Durant, so you'll see more of it. Don't worry about it. So that will conclude this edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast. Y'all make sure y'all go to the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, and follow the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page. Until next week, y'all take care. Have a good rest of the week, and we will see you soon.